Hi, my name is Christina Reyes and I'm going to be giving you my presentation. Okay, here's what's up with teaching. We did our prior homework where we had the grammar translation, direct method, oral structure approach, communicative approach, and other task-based learning, which are more modern approaches. But what about the present? What are the proposed method and what does that mean? That is what this video is going to be about, and that's what I'm going to focus on. Okay, the condition. If proposed method refers to the qualities of contemporary era in English language, basically what we're doing today, in which previously well-trusted methods are put under serious scrutiny because, let's face it, our students need a change. What worked before based on their historical context was great, but it's not working with our students now. And so we need to find something that will lead us to that success. And basically, here's my reference as always. Okay, what does this mean? Or what does this mean for us as teachers? We are searching for an alternative method, like I was saying, but not just wanting to reach one, but actually creating one as we go along. What do I mean by that? Sometimes we say, oh, we need somebody to come up with a change. But it's not about coming up with a change, it's about actually changing. On second approach is teacher autonomy. We really want our teachers to be able to become free within the learning environment, within the learning process. Because I find that choosing one method really limits students. And we need to have the basic principles. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry there. Now, how can we maximize our learning opportunities? First and foremost, teachers have to have two roles. Now, our first role refers to creating that learning opportunity rather than just giving information. The second one refers to the duties that we have within the classroom. Willingness to modify our lesson plans based on feedback, and not just feedback from our principals, our directors, but also from the students themselves, to be able to really suit to the target needs. And using opportunities that are created within the classroom. Sometimes valuable things come from the students themselves and we forget to pay attention to that. Now, I believe that learning comes with two basic aspects or two main sources: student-student interaction and student-teacher interaction. I think that post method plays the teacher always as a second role, but I don't think we should really take that teacher out of the classroom. Interaction with her is also, or him, is also important. Now, what is that teacher going to do? Clarify, confirm, and check for comprehension. This is at all times. Request, repair, react. Not react just as in, oh, I get mad, but react in the sense that show how real people would react to these things. And taking turns during the task. Sometimes it's good for the teacher to be the student and the student to be the teacher also. And I kind of think you can't see it, but right here at the bottom it has the reference where it basically is a web page. I'll upload it later where you can find more information about this. Now, I'll come back to this later, but just as a very quickly overview, we need to start minimizing perceptual mismatches. I believe our students' perception within the classroom needs to be drastically changed. We need to change the way they think, the way they communicate, the way they see language itself, the way they think of themselves as students and us as teachers, the strategies, even the culture. I mean, I'm a second language teacher, and we tend to want to adapt the Guatemalan culture into an American culture, and that's not always happening. Our way of evaluation, tests are no longer the only answer. Procedures. I mean, no longer students and teachers need to follow the same procedures that we were doing before. Our instructions. Instructions sometimes can be developed along the classroom and not necessarily just given at the beginning. And last but not least, I do believe competence should be the center of our education. So that's why we have attitudes and the development of the same. Now, active intuitive heuristics. What does this mean? Teachers need, and now in the post-method era, need to provide adequate contextual data so that the students can infer grammatical rules. Well, what does that mean? Students have information. They have it at the tip of their hands. Now they need to know how to use it to be able to help them develop a second language. And also encourage self-discovery and self-learning. We no longer need to give the students everything handed to them and already done. They need to discover it for themselves also. And like I said, with the internet, they have everything. Now, foster language awareness. I believe students need to be aware of the nature of the language itself and the role in human life and theirs. How to achieve it. Basically, this is one of our teachers' roles that we were talking about before. We have to draw their attention to formal properties. Basically, make them understand why it's important to speak correctly and why it's important for the other person to actually understand what it is that we're saying. I put lessons should be learned and oriented, but I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And strategies adopted. Like I was saying, understanding and general principles and operational experience should be going along as the teacher and the students interact, and kind of start adapting it to it. I'm sorry, supposed to be say adapted, not adopted. Once again, here's my references if you want to check it out. Okay, contextualized linguistic input. Once again, context is really important. We can't just give them words. We can't just give them sentences. We have to give them words and sentences that go with a meaningful context. And that way the nature of the language will be integrated, and it's no longer going to be just items that are randomly given to them. It will make sense. Once again, here's some more information about the teacher's role. I'm kind of worried about time, so I'm going to speed up a bit. Okay, integrate language skills. Now, once again, nowadays we don't teach grammar as per se, or speaking, or listening, or even writing, but we kind of integrate them. Why? Our students are integrated students. Our students are students that need to be stimulated in various levels, and they need to be doing things at all times. Let's face it, we all see students listening to music, doing an essay, and cleaning their room at the same time. So why not integrate the skills to make them easier for them to also retain the information that we're giving them? And also, I believe, and I kind of added here, that we'll get the best development out of our students when they're learning and using things at the same time. That's why I integrate. Promote learner autonomy. Like I said, knowledge is a given for them. They need to know how to apply it and when and how. So let's raise good consciousness of language learners and strategies to help them so they can actually do it intuitively. They don't need us to guide them as much as older students would or as other generations would. Now, like I was saying, competences are the new aspect that we're going to focus on. So let's raise cultural consciousness. Competences mean a person knowing how to do things, where to do it, how to do it, and all the values that are involved in the content that we're teaching. Now, like I'm saying, teachers and learners have to be cultural informed. They need to be able to communicate. Ensure social relevance. Now, our students are not learning to stay in the classroom. They're learning to go out there to actually interact in the real world. So, social context shapes learning. Teachers' issues including, well, that's not really important right now. But like what I really want to focus on is this right here. The learner is not becoming an imitation native speaker, but a person who can stand between the two languages and use them appropriately for his or her needs. So once again, let's make it important for them because they're the ones that are going to go out to the world and actually use it. Now, I see plenty of advantages. First, we're creating individuals instead of subjects. This is a very psychological debate that we're having in modern days, whether students should be attached to content or actually be able to do with it. I believe students should be able to do more than know because let's face it, Google knows it, but they need to know how to search for it and what to do with it. So individuals is the way to go. There's a classroom culture. I mean, the classroom is not limited to the four walls where the class is taught. It should be more about where the student is going. That can be a classroom. Local culture and national culture. By local and national culture, I'm referring to I'm getting them involved in the culture that is theirs. Yeah, English is not part of our Guatemalan country, but let's face it, our students are not just Guatemalans, their social environment is the internet. It's out there, it's TV. And all this involves American customs, American development, so English is part of their culture and nation too. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. I'll go back. We've seen this already. Okay, let's continue with this advantages in the post-era method. The post-method era, I'm sorry. I kind of get nervous with these assignments. Now, like I said, individuals, classroom, local, and regional. Now, requirements. I believe it's a very broad method, but they still have basic requirements that we do have to have. Now, teachers need to be able to self-reflect. That means being able to admit one's mistakes and kind of work on them and build upon them. Now, we as teachers need to kind of focus on developing English language teaching. Like I was saying, they need to learn how to learn it more than the content itself. They may not know it's a noun, but they know how to use it and where to look for it. And of course, how can we expect our students to be constantly growing in their educational process if we as teachers are not being educated and developed in our own programs? So we need to be informed and keep on studying. And I think this is where we're going towards. Thank you for your time, and I hope it was as helpful for you as it was for me.